Hi friends, Saurav here. Welcome back to my channel. In our last tutorial we have learned about alter command. So now we are going to learn about primary keys. What's the primary key are and how it's gonna getting created into a table. Okay. So before starting that, let me tell you that primary keys of two type: normal primary key and composite primary key. Normal primary key is like whenever we are creating primary key on any column, then it's normal primary key, and when we want to create primary key combining two columns, then it's called composite primary key. I have written some code here just to save the time because a lot of examples are there, so I thought just to write it before explaining all these things. Alright, so I'll explain you everything one by one with example on SQL workshop. Don't worry about that. Okay, so let me tell you, let me create a table first. Let me copy this code, copy and paste in our SQL workshop. Control V. Here what we are doing, we are going to create a table called my test. Name of the table is my test, which is having three columns: ID, name and city. ID is of number type, varchar2 type, name is of varchar2 type, and city is of varchar2 type. And ID we are declaring it as primary key. Alright, so let's run this query. Here ID will get created as primary key. Now describe this table. So as you can see, we have a description here: ID, here the name of the columns, here the data type, here the size, and here we are getting it as a primary key. If it is 1, it means ID is declared as primary key. These two columns are nullable. We can give null value here, but we cannot give null value here. It will not accept null value, it will not accept repeated value. Alright, so this is what primary key does. Okay, now this is one way to create the primary key. Another way is to creating the primary key is by giving the name of that primary key, and this is the best practice to create the primary key. Whenever you create the primary key, give it a name. Okay, this will help you when you are playing with the primary key. So let me copy this code. There is no any difference in these two codes, but the thing is, here we are giving the name of this primary key, here we have not given the name of that primary key. Alright, so I have copied it, paste. Let me paste it here, Control V. So the thing will be same, but the only difference here, we have given some name to this primary key. This will help us if I want to drop the primary key later on. I realize that no, I want to drop this primary key, so it will help me at that time that I can drop the primary key using this name. Alright, so I'll explain you that thing also. Let me create this table first, but before that let me drop the table. Drop table my test. Okay, let me run this query. Table dropped. Now we are going to create the table. Table created. Now describe this table. Describe my test. Run. So as you can see, we have same thing, nothing different from last command. So things are same. The only difference is that we have given a name to this primary key. Okay, now let's come to third query, third way to creating the primary key. So here what we have done, this is called what we have created. Now this we call it as column level primary key, and this we call it as table level primary key. Okay, that's the difference. So here what we have done, we have written three columns: ID, name and city. Then we are writing the constraint as the name of the primary key, and we are writing the keyword primary key and the column on which we are going to apply the primary key constraints. Okay, so let me copy this and paste it, command prompt, Control V. Before that, let me drop the table. Drop table my test. Run this. Table has been dropped. Now create the table. Run this. Table created. Now describe this table. Describe this table. So as you can see, we have same thing. Okay, things are same. Only three ways to create the table, to create the primary key on the table. Alright, I have explained all three. Now let's come to another. If I have created a table, simply I forgot to create the primary key. Later on I realized, no, I have to create a primary key on this column. What we can do, we can use alter command and we can add a constraint, add a primary key on this table over this column. Alright, how we can do that? Let me copy this till here. Let me copy the whole command, copy and paste in our SQL workshop. Control V. Before that, let me drop the column table first. Drop table, because I'm using same table to give you examples of all these things. So I'm dropping the table again and again. I've dropped the table. See here what I'm doing, I'm creating a table. I'm simply creating a table with these three columns. Create it. Now describe the table. Describe my test. Run this. As you can see, all three fields are nullable. We can give null value here. None of these columns are having primary key. Now I'm gonna alter the table and I'm adding primary key in this table on this column. Okay, so as you can see, alter table my test, add constraint, the name of that primary key and the keyword primary key and the column on which you are gonna apply this primary key constraint. Let me run this query. Now describe the table. Yeah, so as you can see, it was nullable last time. Now it has become primary key. We cannot give null value into this primary key, into this column. We cannot provide duplicate value in this primary key. All right, so this is another way to add primary key, okay, using alter command. Now let's jump to Sublime Text here. Yeah, now the next thing is composite primary key. Composite primary key is what? When we are going to create primary key over two or more than two columns, we can create composite primary key using maximum number of 32 columns. Okay, so composite primary key is like combining two columns and creating a constraint, primary key constraint over that columns. All right, so let me copy this and paste it in our SQL workshop. Before that, let me clear it. Yeah, and let me drop the table as well. Drop table my test. Run this query. Yeah, so here I'm going to create composite primary key. Create this table created. Now describe my test. Run this query. Yeah, so as you can see, we have primary key on ID and name both. Okay, these two can never have null value. These two cannot have a duplicate value. Only city will allow us to give null value and duplicate value. All right, so this is what primary key is. We are creating primary key. Now the next way to create the primary key is same. Yeah, let me again drop the table. I have dropped the table. Now I have created the table. See, I have created the table. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add primary key constraint over these two columns using alter command. Things are very simple. I'll write this alter command, alter table my test, add constraint, the name of the primary key and the keyword primary key and the columns over which I'm gonna apply primary key. Copy this and paste it here. See, so currently we have this table. Let me describe this table first. We don't have any primary key. Let me run this query. Yeah, now describe the table. So as you can see, we have primary key. We have primary key on ID and name, composite primary key on these two columns. So hope this thing is understandable to you and you got the concept about primary key and composite primary key. If you want to drop any primary key constraint, you can drop it using alter command. Alter table my test, drop constraint this, Control C, Control V. Yeah, so when we are writing something like this, it's gonna drop the constraint, drop the primary key, so it again will become the normal column. Table altered, or describe it. Yeah, now you can see it could have null value and duplicate value. All right, so this is what the primary key is, the primary key and composite primary key. Hope the concept is clear to you. For any doubt or any confusion or any suggestion, please let me know in comment box. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching the tutorial.